Hey everyone, welcome into a new tutorial. Today we are going to be checking out main menu systems, options menus. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to go over here. We're going to show how to create this main menu or the start menu, along with options to change the screen mode between full screen, windowed, borderless. Resolution settings so that you can choose any resolution that your monitor supports, graphics quality, so this is just like an overall graphics quality option here. And then we're also going to create a pause menu that you can pause the game and get access to all of these as well. And go back to our main menu here. So there's a lot that we're going to go into, but we're also not going to go into everything because there is just so much to go into for menu systems and working with UI in general. So I'm going to show you how to create this stuff on here, and from there you should be able to go through and add any other options that you want. I may also do a part 2 to this if people really want that. Please let me know. If there's any specific options that you want, I'll do my best to try and get those worked in and show you how to do them. And also, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the amazing support. We are at like 6,500 subscribers, I think, which is just insane. I cannot believe it. And I just want to thank you guys so much for the support. Also, if you want to support me further, you can check out the links below. I've got a Patreon, sell a bunch of assets on Fab. I will actually have this entire project available specifically for the HAL 401 tier. That's the one that gets you the project files and all of that stuff. And I'm also going to just include the horror basement environment in this project. So you'll just get access to that entire asset as well with this menu system. So you can check out that if you want to, but no pressure as always. So yeah, I think without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, so here we are in just a blank first-person template project that I created. You can, of course, do this in first-person, third-person template. Ideally, you would probably want to do this in your own project or game. And what we're going to do is create a separate level specifically for the menu, and we're going to have an environment in that level that's going to be the background for our main menu. So this is just a way to do this. There's multiple ways to create main menus, but I think it's kind of fun to have an actual environment in the background. So for the environment, I'm going to use the horror basement environment that I created. And I'll leave a link to this below if you want to check out how to get this through Fab. I will also, so on my Patreon, I make the project files available at a certain tier. So I'll just include this entire project in that as well. So if you want to support me and just get this entire asset pack plus the main menu that I'm going to make, you can do it that way as well, but absolutely no pressure to do that. So let's go ahead and do a couple of things here. I've created just a My Content folder just to store some stuff, and I imported a couple of different sounds. So I've got just like a menu click here, and then I've got a kind of spooky sounding theme that I'm going to run in the background, and I've just set this to loop. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. Let's just go ahead and load this environment. Now, what I want to do is I could just use this map as the main menu, but we really only need like one camera angle. And so it doesn't really make sense to have all of these other assets in the level. So I'm going to just find an angle that I like. I think something kind of like this is nice. All right, and I like how it's kind of dark over here, so we'll have our text over here. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is instead of like recreating all of this, I can just copy all of this. So I can just hold Control and Alt and then select everything within the view here. And actually, let me do that again so that I get all of this here. Okay, because I want to make sure that I get the lights and the fog. Let's see, let's also get the post-process volume. Okay, whoops. Shift select. Oh, okay, that's not working. Where is the post-process volume? Let's just select it like that. Okay, so just holding shift to select everything. So now I should have, yeah, it looks like I've got everything selected in this view. And I am going to just go here and just click, right click, go to edit and copy. And then we're going to create a new level. So let's do a new folder. Call this maps. And level we'll call main menu. Okay, so let's open that. And then I'll just go in here, edit and paste. And now we've got all of that in here. We've got the post-process volume is already set up and everything. The lights are already set up. So now we are good to go. All right. So we need to get a camera in here for our actual view. So let's go ahead and add in a Cine camera. And let's just kind of position that roughly where we want this to be for our background. I'm also going to change the focal length here because it's way too zoomed in. So I'm going to go to something like 14. And let's see. Let's actually go in perspective here. Let's change this to the camera actor so that we can actually see what this is going to look like. And I think something kind of like that is pretty good. Okay. And then just to make sure that this is lined up perfectly straight up and down, I'm going to zero out the Y coordinates here. All right. So now that's perfectly straight up and down, and I'm going to eject that. And now what we need to do is we need to actually basically tell the project to use that camera when we hit play, because if I hit play right now, I'm just in this level and just walking around, and that's obviously not what we want to do. So let's go into the level blueprint and set up some stuff here. Now, you can do this in the level blueprint. You can also do this in, some people I think do it in the game instance. You could even do it in like the controller. Some people do it in the widget. Again, there's multiple ways to do this. This is just the way that I've done it before. There may be a better way to do it, but this is what works for me or has worked in the past. So this is how I'm going to set it up here. So the first thing that I want to do is play the sound. So play sound 2D will be fine. And I just want to play that menu theme that we have. So I'm going to select that. And then the next thing that we want to do is get our player controller. And we want to do set view target with blend. This will allow us to change to that other camera there. And we need a reference to that camera. So if we go back in here, and if we select that camera, and then go back to our level blueprint, right click, create a reference, and then that will plug into the new target there. Okay, now we need to do a couple of other things. We want to have our mouse shown. So out of the player controller, we're going to do show mouse cursor, set show mouse cursor. We want that to be true. And then we also want to change the UI. So set input mode to be UI only. Whoops. Whoa. Okay, that was weird. Don't know why it did that. Okay, and let me just... actually, you know what? Let's do this. Just try and make this a little cleaner. Let's go down like this. Okay, and then we also need to create a widget because we want to actually create the widget for the main menu, which we have not actually done yet, so need to do that. Okay, because if we just compile right now, we're going to get an error because we haven't actually selected a widget. So let's go ahead and actually create the widget. Back into my content, we're just going to do a new folder. I'll call this widgets. And this is going to be a user interface, widget blueprint, user widget. And I'm going to call this w_main menu. Okay, now I can select that as our widget, and then that'll get rid of that error, and then we need to add it to the view screen, or viewport. So add to viewport. Okay, let's see. Oh, we want to actually set that to be true, show mouse cursor. All right, compile and save, and that should be good. So now when we hit play, this is good. We're locked to this view right here, and we've got the cursor on the screen. Of course, we don't actually see anything because it is loading the widget, but we don't have anything in the widget to actually display. So let's go ahead and get that set up. All right, so let's go ahead and open up the widget, and let's start with a canvas panel, as we usually do. Okay. And then please forgive me if I pause just a few seconds every now and then, because I'm just referring to my other monitor where I have the original project that I made where I was testing all of this out. A lot of UI stuff is very, very tedious. So we're going to, I'm going to do my best to show you guys how to make kind of like the most common things that you'll need in your main menu. But this is not going to be like a super extensive options menu with, tons of things in it, really just because it takes a lot of time. But I'm going to show you how to do everything. And once you get through this, I think that you'll be able to have all the tools to basically do everything you want. It just is going to take a little time to get everything organized and get the colors and the behavior of all of the buttons and everything like that. There's a lot to it, so you'll see as we get more into it. You don't want to make this too crazy. All right, so the first thing that we're going to need is a horizontal box, and we're going to set this to, and the anchors here, we're going to set this to be full screen. And then for the offset, I'm going to make this 100 on each of these, just to give us like a little bit of padding around the edges. Okay. And then we're going to need a vertical box. That'll go onto the horizontal box there. And I'm going to rename this. This is going to hold all of our buttons. So it's going to be vertical box buttons. And then we're going to need a button. That will go there. And inside of this vertical box here, these are going to be the buttons. So we're going to have like, a start, options, quit, those kind of things. So the first one I'm going to call button_start. And I would highly recommend that you guys rename these the way that I'm doing it, or whatever naming convention you want to. Just try to keep this as organized as possible, because this is going to get kind of crazy. Especially when we get into the options menu, there's going to be a lot of stuff in here. So it's best to try and keep everything organized as we go. The next thing that we're going to need is a text, and that'll go inside of the button. And that's going to be what actually writes the text out for what we want to say. So over here, we're going to call this start, or let's do maybe full or caps there. All right, so let's see. I think that should be good. I think with the text, I'm going to set it to align on the left side. Or actually, let's see. Let's have the button aligns on the left side. I always get confused on this. but I think that's what we want. Let's just go ahead and try this out here. So compile and save, and if we hit start or play, okay. So yeah, it looks like it's working. Obviously there's no functionality in it, but we can see that it is loading our widget and we can actually interact with the button. All right. Let's go back here. Also, I don't think I actually like it capped, so I'm going to go regular there. All right, so again, I'm not going to go too crazy into customizing this, but I will show you just a couple of things. So if you go, we're on the button here. If you look over in the style, there's a lot of stuff that you can do here. So for all of these things here, you have like your normal style and basically your tint. And then like when you hover over it with your mouse, this will be the color that changes to. When you press it, this is what will happen. Lots of stuff that you can do here. I'm going to just in the normal, I'm going to set this to be invisible. And then maybe when we hover, let's do like a little bit like 0.1. Let's just see how that looks. This is something that I wish Unreal Engine was much better with, because like I can't really test this very easily without actually playing. And I mean, yeah, I know that's not super hard, but I wish that the editor was, the widget editor was a little bit more intuitive, more user-friendly. Maybe it's just me. I am used to using other tools. If you have been using this for a long time, then you probably think this is super easy to work with. But I always kind of forget like what does what and what is going to change things and things like that. So I have to test things out a lot. But that's okay. That's how we learn. So yeah, I think this looks good for what I want. All right, so let's just see if there's anything else that I want to change. Of course, we can change this later, but I think this is fine now. What I'm going to do is just copy this button. So Control C, then I'm going to go back to my vertical box and then paste. And then this one is going to be options. So we'll call this options. And in the text, we'll write options. Okay, and yeah, so that's doing what I wanted it to do. I wanted basically the text to be like left justified. And again, it always confuses me because like under the horizontal alignment here, we have it be set to be centered, but we're aligning the button with the left side. So it's kind of weird the way that works. There's maybe a better way to do that. Again, I'm not super good with widgets, but hey, it looks right here, so we'll go with it. All right, so we're going to get a couple of more. Let's Control V to paste another one. Let's have maybe a load game. Now, I'm not actually going to show you how to set up a save and load system in this video. I will go into that in a later episode, but this is probably going to be long enough just working on this menu. So we're going to just try and keep this simple and just kind of leave room for expanding when we want to. And then let's do another one. Let's call this one quit, just to quit the game. Okay. Okay. All right, so I think that should be good. Now, one other thing that I want to do, I want to add another button down here that's going to be a back button. And this will be a button for like when we go into options, then we'll need a way to go back to go to kind of like the main menu. So I'm going to get another vertical box and I'm going to add it onto this vertical box. And this is going to be vertical box back button. And then we'll, we should just be able to paste again into this. So Control V, and then we have another button, which this is going to be button back, and this will say back. Okay, and then what I want to do is, let's see, have this be, actually, the vertical box for the buttons. Let's not do that. Let me just see. Yeah, that's what I want. So fill and vertical alignment on the bottom like that. Then that'll put it down here at the very bottom. And we should be good to go there. Okay, so let's go ahead and compile and save. And I think we should be good. Let's just test it out again really quick. Okay. All right, so let's actually get some functionality for these buttons now. Now, one thing that we need to do is we don't want the back button to be visible by default. So we need to think about that. We really only want that to show up when we go into the options. So we'll need to do something for that. All right, so let's go back to main menu. Let's go into the graph. And we can delete the tick and the event construct. And we're going to use the pre-construct for a couple of things here. The first thing that I want to do, the pre-construct is kind of like the construction script in a regular blueprint. If you've used that before, it's essentially going to, whatever event you have on here is going to run before you begin play. So we can do things like make things visible or hidden before we actually start the game, and they'll actually be updated in real time here. So this will make more sense when we actually get this going. So let's go ahead and just get the back button because we want to set that to be not visible right away. So I'm going to do set visibility. Like so, and that's going to be hidden. And then when we click on the options, let me think this through here. When we click on options, we want back to be visible. So let's find the options, and on clicked, let's just copy and paste this. We want to basically do the opposite. So set this to be visible. Okay. And then when we hit back or click back, we want to set this to be hidden again. So on clicked, let's just copy and paste again. And if this is confusing, just don't worry because it's going to make sense here in a second. So this is going to be hidden when we hit back. And I think that should be good. So let's just go ahead and test it out. We hit play. Okay, so we don't see back, but now if I hit options, back is showing. And then if I hit back, then it goes away. So that's good. Okay. Let's now do start and quit because those are really easy. Get those out of the way. For start, we're going to do on clicked. We want to essentially just open whatever your first level in your game is going to be. For us, it's just going to be that test map. I'm just going to do, let's see, open level. So you can do open level by name or you can do object reference. Either one of those is fine. I like to do object reference because if you do open level by name, then you need to type the name of your level in here and it needs to be exact. So if it has uppercase or underscores or anything like that, you need to make sure that you type it in there exactly how it is. And with open level by object reference, it's just way easier because you just get a drop-down box and you can literally just click whatever level you want. So that seems easier to me, so that's what I'm going to go with. All right, and then the other one is quit. That one is very simple as well. We just want to drag out and type quit game. And That is all it is to it. Okay. Compile and save, and let's try this out. So play. Okay, options back. That's good. Now, if we quit, then it quits. Play. If we hit start, then it loads up in the level and everything is good. Okay, now let me see something here. Let's go to this really quick. I just want to look. Okay, yeah, so there is something that you need to do here. I forgot that I had set this up earlier when I was testing things because you're probably going to run into an issue. So if we go back to our main menu and if we play and then start, I'm not able to move around. That's because we set the where was it? In the level blueprint, we set the input mode to be UI only, and that's basically blocking us from doing any kind of game movements or anything like that. So we need to go to our first person map or whatever your level is going to be, and in your level blueprint, you need to on begin play. You need to get first of all, get your player controller and then drag out of that and type set input mode game only. Okay. And then you should be good to go. So let's just try that out one more time. Main menu, play. Okay. That's good. Start. And we're in our level. Everything is working. Okay. Let's go back to main menu and back to our widget. So I think everything is good there. Let's go back to the designer and let's kind of talk about where we're going to go from here. The next thing that we're going to want to do is add our options. So these are going to be like our full screen, windowed mode, borderless options, resolution, quality settings, those kind of things. Now, the way that I'm going to do it, again, there's multiple ways to do this, but I think an easier way is to kind of help us keep some of this organized is to create a separate widget, and then we can just load that widget inside of here. And it's going to keep things a little bit more organized because when we create the options widget, it's going to get really kind of crazy with the amount of stuff that we're going to have in there. So we're going to do another widget, user widget. This is going to be underscore w underscore options menu. Let's open that up. And we're going to get a canvas panel. And then I'm going to get a border. Okay, and the border is going to be full screen. 0, 0, 0 on all of the offsets, so it's filling up the entire screen. And then under our brush settings in the tint, I'm going to make this invisible like that. Okay, and then I'm going to get a vertical box and drag that onto the border. And for our vertical box, let's see. Let's make this all 0, but maybe on the right side, I'm going to offset it, or let's see, left side actually. I want to offset this just a little bit, maybe like 50, because back in here, we're going to essentially we're going to load that widget inside of this area right here. And I want to just kind of give a little bit of space, maybe even a little bit more. Let's do like 100. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Okay, so compile and save. And then the first thing that I'm going to put in here is going to be our screen mode. So this will be how we change it from like full screen, borderless, windowed, like that. And for that, I'm going to use a horizontal box. Okay, and let's go ahead and name this. horizontal box screen mode. And then inside of that, we're going to get a text. And for our text, this will just be called screen mode. Is screen mode one word or 2 words? I think it's 2, right? I don't actually know. And then I'm going to set this to be centered vertically. Fill on this file, or fill horizontal is fine. Center vertically. And then we're going to get another horizontal box. This is going to go inside of this horizontal box. And this one we will set to fill. Actually, let's see. Do we want to fill that? Yeah. So let's fill the screen like that, the text. Let's fill that. And then let's also fill the horizontal box. So it's essentially kind of split in 2 parts like that. Okay, and then this horizontal box is going to be our screen mode buttons. And we're going to have 3 buttons inside of here. So we'll have full screen, windowed, and borderless. Okay, so let's get, not a border. I'm thinking borderless. Let's get a button. And that's going to go inside of there. And this one we will call button full screen. And we'll need text inside of the button. And okay, so here this will actually be what it's going to say. So full screen. I think I will go caps with that. Okay, and let's also let's see. So horizontal box screen mode. So basically this, well, you can see it highlighted there. Let's set that to fill. Okay, this is going to look kind of weird right here, but we're going to fix this in a minute here. And now we've got our button for full screen there. Let's go ahead and customize this a little bit. Let's maybe do a little bit of a padding of 10. And we'll set it to fill. Okay, and then we're going to copy this button, Control C, go back up to my horizontal box here, paste 2 times because we need one for windowed. Let's do full, all caps, windowed. And then let's also name the button here. And then one more is going to be borderless. Okay, and the text will actually be borderless. Okay. Go ahead and compile and save. Okay, so now I think this is looking good. Now let's kind of make this spaced out a little bit better. Now I know there's different ways to do this. I'm just going to get another horizontal box and place it, let's see, in the vertical box here. And we're going to do fill. And this is essentially just going to kind of work as a little bit of a spacer. You might not need this depending on how much stuff you're going to put in here. Let's do horizontal box. Let's just call this horizontal box space. And then I want to have a button down here at the bottom that just says apply settings, basically. So I'm going to do another horizontal box on the screen mode. And let's see, there it is. Fill. Oh, that's not where I want it though. I want that to be on the vertical box, sorry. See, again, this stuff just really gets, at least for me, it gets really complex. So forgive me if I mess up a few times. I hope this isn't too hard to follow. All right, so this is going to be the horizontal box for underscore apply settings. Okay, and I'm going to set that to fill as well, except I'm going to change the size here to be smaller, maybe like, let's see, 0.15. Let's go with that. Okay, and then I want to get a button. Put that on this horizontal box, and let's set that to fill. Let's give it a little bit of a padding, say 5. And then I want to align that on the right side. Okay. And then I want to do basically the same options that we had for our button here. So I think on normal, I had this be completely invisible. And then on hovered, we had 0.1. I think that should be good. And then we'll get text and place it in the button, and the text will just be called apply settings. Okay. And let's also rename this button. So this is going to be button apply settings. Okay. Before we go any further, let's just test this. I know it doesn't look very good right now. Don't worry. Oh, actually, we haven't loaded it in here yet. Okay, so we need to do that. So let's go to the main menu. Okay, so we want to put it in here, and we need, let's see, we need a vertical box, I think. Yeah, a vertical box, and that's going to go inside of our horizontal box, I think. Let's see. Yeah. All right, and we'll set that to fill. And all of that should be good. And now we can actually just search for our widget here. Options menu. And then just drop that onto the vertical box. Everything should be good there. But let's see. Actually, it's not. Oh, we need to set it to fill. There we go. Compile and save. Okay, so now let's play. Okay, so obviously this looks awful, but we're going to fix all of this. Don't worry. I think this is good. I just wanted to make sure that this was loading in, which it is. All right, we need to, let's see, what do we want to do first? Actually, let's do this first. We want to, on play, we want to have this hidden, or let's see, actually this hidden, the menu. So it's already a variable. So let's go to the graph. And on pre-construct, we're going to, let's see, get the reference to it right here and set visibility to be hidden. Okay. And now when we click options, we want this to be visible. So let's copy and paste this to be visible. Okay. And then when we click back, we want to set it to be hidden again. Okay, let's test that out before we go any further. So now we've got our main menu, we're loaded up. If we hit options, here comes our options menu. We can click on these things, apply. Obviously these don't do anything yet, but now if we hit back, then we go back to our main menu without that, and we're good to go. Okay, this is good. We're getting there. I know it's a lot. Yeah, just hang with me. We'll get through all of this. Let's see. What do we want to do first? Let's go ahead and add in some other things here. So again, I'm not going to show you how to go through everything, but I want to show you how to do the main things. Let's do resolution. I think that's an important one. So we're going to, let's see. Yeah, we're going to want to do another horizontal box like this, and it's going to go right in between these two. So we'll get horizontal box, and it's going to go in our vertical box. And if we set it to, let's see. It's so annoying how it loses focus like that. All right, we went to fill, and then the order is kind of messed up here. We want it to go right underneath the screen mode, so we need to drag it up to right there, I think. No. There we go. Okay, it's kind of hard to get that, but you can see like they kind of show you over here where it's going to go. So again, this is very tedious. All right, that should be good. So this is going to be resolution. So we can actually probably just copy this, and that's going to go in there. And let's also name our box so we don't get too confused. This is going to be resolution. Okay, and then our screen, whoops, where it says screen mode, this is going to say resolution. And fill, I think that's good. Okay, now we need, we're going to do something called a ComboBox string. And we're going to drop that onto the horizontal box resolution. Okay. And then we're going to set this to fill. That will, again, kind of do what we did here, where it's basically splitting this up in half. And what a combo box is, it's a drop-down box. And so this will let us get all of the available resolutions that our screen or our computer can do, and give us a way to select all of those. Okay. Now let's get one more in here. One more horizontal box. Let's see if I can just copy and paste this. And then I want to move this up. Okay. One more. That did not do it. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be, we'll call this graphics quality. And we'll rename our horizontal box here. Graphics quality. Okay, now we're not going to do a combo box here. You could do a combo box for the graphics quality. You could have like a drop down that says, you know, high, medium, low, or something like that. But since we're already doing one here, I want to just try to show you guys like as many different ways to do this. So we're just going to delete this, and we'll just have 4 buttons here that'll be like low, medium, high, ultra, or something like that. Technically, Unreal Engine has 5 scalability options. If you go here, and if you look under scalability, we have low, medium, high, epic, and cinematic. I wouldn't recommend an option to choose cinematic though, because this is going to be like really, really high graphics wise. And to be honest, it's not really a huge difference between epic and cinematic. You totally can, but epic is going to be perfectly fine for most things. And it's one of those things that like if you give the option to choose cinematic, then probably a lot of people are going to choose that, and it might not run very well. So that's something that you might want to think about. All right. Or if you do put it on there, you might want to at least have like a, you know, warning or something like that, that this is a very high graphics setting. Okay, so for our graphics quality, we're going to put 4 buttons inside of here. Okay, and we can actually just copy them from here. So copy, and paste, or actually I take that back. We're going to need a horizontal box like we have in here. So let's just do this horizontal box, and that's going to go inside of graphics quality. And let's go ahead and name that. That's going to be our horizontal box graphics buttons. And we'll set this to fill. And then we'll get buttons, which we can copy those. So copy and make sure I'm on the right thing. Paste. Okay. And we want to paste 4 of those in here because we need low, medium, high, and ultra. Or if you want to do 5, you'll need 5 in there. Okay. Now, there's so much stuff to go over in here, and I'm trying to keep it as condensed as possible, but a lot of this stuff just kind of comes down to tweaking like the way you want it to look, you know? So like if you wanted these to go over more, you can totally do that. The way that we have is just to kind of set this to fill on both of these, like the text here and this box. But what you could do, like if you wanted to move this over, you could set this to a little higher, like 2. And, you know, you could do the same thing here, 2. And then for this box, we have 2, something like that. So, you know, it just kind of comes down to however you want to do it. There's a lot that you'll have to just kind of play with and tweak and mess around with. And it also depends on, you know, your screen size. Some of this stuff is going to auto scale, but the text is not going to auto scale. So that's something that we need to think about. I'm going to increase the size of this because I want these to be smaller. So I'm going to make this like, I don't know, let's try 4. Let's go a little bit more, maybe like 7. Let's try 8. Let's go with that for right now. And then this is getting just pushed down here, so I need to adjust this a little bit. Let's actually, what happens if we just do 1? Yeah, let's just do that. So, okay, let me do a quick recap there because there is so much that is going on in here, and I know it's going to be easy to get lost. And I feel like I'm struggling to show you guys how to do this in like a clean way because it is really very messy. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a recap here. This is the specific widget for our options. We have a canvas panel, then a border, then a vertical box. We offset the vertical box just a little bit, just to give us a little space in our main menu here so that it's not right next to these. And then we have a horizontal box. We're mostly using horizontal boxes for these. The horizontal box is holding a text, which is going to be screen mode or whatever you want it to say there. And then we have buttons, which have text inside of them that are going to be for choosing full screen, windowed, and borderless. Okay, and then for our resolution, kind of the same thing. We have a horizontal box there with text. And then we have a ComboBox string, which actually I forgot to name that. So let's do that. That's going to be ComboBox string resolution. Okay. And that will be the box that we can have a drop down, select our resolution, and apply our settings. And then our graphics quality, pretty much the same thing. Horizontal box, followed by text, followed by followed by another horizontal box there. And then within that horizontal box, we have 4 buttons, and then those have text in each one of those that are going to say our graphic settings here, which we need to set that up right now. So let's go ahead and do that. So yeah, I hope all that makes sense. I know it's a lot, but yeah, let's rename these. So this is going to be button. Let's actually do graphics low just to keep this organized. And then this will just say low. And then this one will be graphics medium. And then the text will read medium. Next one will be graphics high. And the text will say high. And finally, this one will be graphics ultra. There we go. Graphics ultra. And it will say ultra. Okay, I think that's good. So yeah, I think this is kind of all I'm going to put in here for right now. This kind of gets you most of the things that you're going to need. You could, of course, split the graphics settings into all of the different options that you have here if you wanted to do that. And you might want to do that if you're if you're going to make a game jam or like a really small game or something like that. Don't do that. That's going to be way too much work. This is enough work as it is. But if you're going to make, like a full-on game, then you probably are going to want to have more options in here. So you would basically just do the same thing, just add another horizontal box in here, name this, well, I don't know, what is the first one? View distance. And then you'd have 4 or 5 different buttons that would be, near, medium, far, epic. You can really just kind of follow the wording that they have here. And you could do this for all of these. You could also do a screen percentage slider. We can get into that. Maybe I'll do like an advanced or like a part 2 to this. But again, this is going to be, I think, plenty for this video, at least to get you guys started. So we're just going to go with what we have here. All right, so let's go ahead and start setting up some stuff. Let's go to our graph. And I'm going to delete the bottom 2 here. We're going to use the pre-construct, but I think the first thing that I want to do is do something for the apply settings. All right, so what we're going to do is create a custom event, and we're going to call this apply settings. And our button that actually says apply settings, we're going to say on clicked, we want to run this event. Apply settings. Okay, and the reason that I'm creating a custom event like this is because we'll have multiple things that we need to apply. So we'll actually go ahead and add a sequence to this as well, because we'll have things like we want to apply the screen resolution, we want to apply the graphics settings, things like that. So I'm just going to move that off to the side for right now. And the next thing that we're going to do is work on the resolution. Let's see. So we need to figure out a way to populate this drop-down box, because right now there's nothing that's happening when we click on that. And we're going to create a custom event for that. And we're going to call that get supported resolutions. Okay, and out of that, we're going to type get supported full screen resolutions here. And what this will do, this is just a built-in function that will return the resolutions that our computer can display. So this is really nice because like my display may only be 1080p, but we might give this game to someone that has a 4K display, or a 1440p display, or maybe a 720p display. And so this will get all of the supported resolutions that your computer can handle and list those out for us. So out of the resolutions here, we can run a for each loop. And then out of the array element, we can break that. And then that will give us our X and Y resolution. Okay, now we need to basically get variables for each of these. But they need to be arrays. So we are going to, let's see, out of the array index here, we're going to set array elements. And this is going to get very messy here, so I'm going to try and keep this kind of clean here. Okay, so for X, this is going to go into item. And then we also want to choose size to fit. And out of target array, we're going to promote that to a variable. And that's going to be our selected X resolutions or resolution. Okay. And then we want to do the same thing to get the Y. So out of here, again, we're pulling from the array index. We're going to do set array elements, size to fit. And this will be for the Y. So plug that into item there. And then target array, we will promote that to a variable. That'll be called selected Y resolution. Okay, let's try and straighten some of this up. Let's see. So now what we want to do is let's get our ComboBox, and we want to add option. And then whatever we type in this string right here is going to be in the drop-down box. And what we can do is we can drag out of here and append. And then we'll be able to plug our X and our Y into each of these. But the only thing is we can go ahead and plug X into A. But what we want this to say is the X resolution times the Y resolution. So I'm going to add another pin here, and for B, I'm going to just type capital X, and then for Y, I'll plug that into C. And let's see, that should be good. Again, I know this is very messy. Just be careful when you're plugging all this stuff in. I have accidentally plugged the wrong things in here in the past, and it took me forever to figure out what was going on. So keep that in mind. But this should be good. So now if we run this on pre-constructs, get supported resolutions, and if we compile, now if we go back to the designer, or actually let's just try and test this out here. So what should happen is we should be able to click that drop-down box and actually show our resolutions that we have available. Okay, there we go. So we have all the different types of resolutions from 1024 by 768 up to 1920 by 1080. So that's good. Okay. So let's close that. Oh, another thing that I see here is I think that we forgot to add some padding onto this. Yeah, actually, let's see. So we have 10. If we add 10 to this, let's see if that fixes that. Okay, so it makes it straight there. Let's try adding maybe 20. Okay. I think the reason for that is because we had a horizontal box here and here, but I forgot to put one here or just didn't put one here. And so I think that was kind of preventing us from getting that perfectly aligned. But it looks like if I just set the padding to 20 and then 10 on the other sides, then that's correct for that. It's kind of a small thing, but it's also one of those things that I like to have things lined up, and it's kind of annoying if they aren't. All right, so I think that is good. Let's go back here. Now, the next thing that we need to do, move this all over. we need to get a way to actually get our current resolution and display it in here just kind of before we do anything else, because we want to know what our current resolution is, and then we can drop down and select what we want. So the way that we're going to do that is with another custom event, and we're going to call this get current resolution. And we can drag out and type get game user settings. And then from the return value, we can get screen resolution. And then we want this and this. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. But instead of add option, we want to set selected option. Okay, and then our append will still plug in there. And we can split to this to get our X and our Y. Okay. And then we can run get current resolution right after. Compile, and now if we did that right, there we go. So now that's showing our current resolution. Okay. So I think we are good with that. All right, the next thing, let's actually go ahead and get our apply setting working. So we need to apply our resolution. And the way that we'll do that is first get game user settings. And let's see, out of the return value, we can type set screen resolution. And we can split this. Okay. And now we need to get our ComboBox string resolution. Out of that, we need to do get selected index. And then we need to get our variables that we created for our X and Y resolution here, get a copy of them, and then the return value will plug into the get. We'll do that for the Y as well. Get a copy and plug that in like that. And then this will be our X and this will be our Y. Okay. And then let's just add a reroute node here because we need a little bit more. So out of game user settings, we're going to want to apply resolution settings. Okay. Okay, and let's also, let's go ahead and apply the other settings as well. So I'm going to just duplicate get game user settings there. And that'll be the next thing on our sequence. And out of the return value, we're just going to apply settings. And you can uncheck the check for command line overrides here. Okay, and this will just apply the other settings that we're going to set up here, like the graphics mode settings. Okay, so I think we are good there. Let's go back here and take a look. Let's work on the screen mode. So we're going to need these buttons to do something, and this isn't too difficult. Let's go, we'll do full screen first. So full screen on clicked. Don't know why that opened so low down there. Okay, so on clicked, we want to get game user settings. And out of that, we want to set full screen mode. to full screen, which is already set. So that's good. And then what do we have next? Windowed. So let's see, windowed on clicked. And we're going to do basically the same thing, Control D to duplicate, except this will be windowed. And then for borderless, kind of the same thing. Oops. Kind of the same thing here. We're going to select windowed full screen, but we need to do one little extra step here. So we need to, out of return value, get screen resolution and split that. And then our combo string or ComboBox string, set selected option. Okay, and then we do our appends and add another one. B will be X, X into A, Y into C. And we'll just straighten all that up. Okay, so that should be good. Let's also comment this stuff because we're going to have a lot of stuff going on here. So this is going to be set our screen mode. Set screen modes. This is going to be apply settings. This is getting our current resolution. Getting current resolution to set in ComboBox. Okay, and then this one is populating the combo box with available resolutions. Okay. All right, the next thing that we need to do is on our buttons here, let's actually test this out because I think we're going to have some issues. If we just do play in here, we go to option. So one of the problems is we don't know what we've selected, right? So we need to fix that. Let's go ahead and do that. So go back to our designer and for our full screen button, make sure that you're on the actual button. Scroll down and let's see, under here, under behavior. Right now, basically all of the buttons are just enabled and that's gonna cause a problem. So we need to bind those to a binding. So create a binding there. Actually, I did that kind of fast. I'll show you on the next one. But essentially what we just did is create a binding that automatically creates a function for us. And then what we need to do here is get game user settings. Out of the return value, get full screen mode. And out of return here, we will get a select. Our return value will plug into the return value here. And then we need to check windowed full screen and windowed here and leave full screen unchecked, specifically for our full screen. Okay, and then we need to do this for each button. So windowed, we're going to, again, go down under behavior where it says is enabled. We're going to click the drop down where it says bind there, create a binding that will automatically create a function for us, a matching function. And then I'm going to go back here and just copy this because we're going to use the exact same things. Control V. Okay. And for this one, this is windowed mode. So we want to uncheck windowed and check the other ones. And then we'll do one more, which is borderless. Create a binding. And I should still have the things saved in there, so Control V. Okay. And this one is windowed full screen, so we're going to uncheck that one and check the other ones. Okay. So now let's try and click play. Okay, so that's good. So now it's showing that we're in full screen currently. We click windowed and apply. Let's try like this. Okay, there we go. So looks like that is working. And I can't actually go into full screen here because I'm not running it in a separate window. Let's see, let's try borderless. Yeah, it looks like that's working. Again, it's not going to go full screen here because I'm not actually running it in we're still running it in the editor, but I think this looks like it's working. At least our resolutions are changing. Everything seems to be good. Yeah, so, okay, there is an issue here. I don't know if this is an issue with my code or if this is just a limitation of the engine, but I have noticed when it's in borderless, the resolution doesn't actually change. So I'm not sure if I'm missing something there or what's happening. But yeah, if we go into windowed, it does look right. And I think everything is good. Okay, let's go ahead and stop that. And actually what we could do to kind of fix that, go to the designer here and click on our resolution combo box. And let's go down to the binding or the behavior here. And let's say if this is, where is it? If borderless is enabled, then this will be grayed out, basically, or it should. Let's just try that really quick. Okay, so options. So now if I click borderless, yeah, there we go. Okay, so that looks a little bit more like it. Apply. So yeah, now borderless should just basically go full screen and just set the current or set the resolution to whatever your monitor's resolution is. And then if we go full screen with, well, yeah, it's going to kind of break here. I'll have to do simulate. Let me try this. This is probably the better way to test it out like this anyway. Okay, so we are, oh, we're in borderless right now. Let's go to windowed, apply settings. Okay, now there was something that was weird there. It didn't look like it showed the resolution when we first tried that. Let's go, let's try borderless. Okay, that seems good. Windowed. Let's try really low resolution. That looks good. I'm going to click full screen. This might mess up the recording a little bit, but I'm going to try it. Okay, so I think it looks really weird on OBS right now. That's just because I have the wrong resolution set. Okay, I think you guys can see that now, so it looks good here. I think everything is working. There might be some glitches still, but for the most part, it looks like this is working as intended. Now, there's some things that I see that are kind of wrong here. The text looks like it's too big, especially when we go to the lower resolutions. So I think we need to change the font size. But overall, this is working as intended. So let's go ahead and make these a little bit smaller. So with the text, let's find font, and let's try like 14 maybe. Okay, so I'm just going to go through these and change all of these. Okay, I think that should be good. The other thing that I saw is, we check this out again. The resolution, I don't really like the way that the text looks there, or the numbers. It's really hard to see because it's like black on that dark background. So let's find where to change that. Okay, I think it's under the item style and text color. Let's just make it white. And let's see if that fixed that. Yeah, that's much better. Oh, I am in full screen. Okay, yeah, that's still messing up. It's hard to test this without going into a separate app, and also while I'm streaming, OBS freaks out if I like change resolutions and things like that. So it's kind of hard to test this while I am recording. But it looks like that is working. I think we're good. We need to now get the graphics set up, or the graphics buttons. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. What we need to do for this is not super hard. It's just a little tedious. But we need to, first of all, find graphics low. And we want to do onClicked. And we want to get game user settings. And out of return value, we can do set overall scalability level. Okay, let's see. I don't know which is which. Let me see what this other one is. Okay, yeah, we want this one. And then the value here. So the way this works, low is 0, medium is 1, high is 2, epic is 3, cinematic is 4. So there's 5 values starting at 0. We're just going to go low through epic, so 0 through 3. Okay, so this is, well, let's actually drag this out and promote this to a variable, and we'll call this quality low. And we need to do this for each one. So next one for medium, onClicked, we can just copy or duplicate this. But the value we need to promote to a variable and call this quality medium. And then when we compile, we need to change the default value to 1 on medium, and then keep going. So let's see, high. And I'm just going to Control V again. Promote this to a variable. This is going to be quality high. Compile and change that to 2, I think, yeah. Okay. And then one more. Graphics Ultra. Control V. Promote to variable. Quality Ultra. And this will be 3. Okay, and now just let me clean this up a little bit, tidy it up. Whoops. Okay. And then let's comment. So this will be graphics quality options. Okay, and then we need to do one more thing. I don't know why that is freaking out down there. We need to go back to our designer, and we need to create bindings for each of these so that we can see what we're selecting. Okay, so we're going to start with a low here. Make sure that the button is selected. let's create a binding. And then in here, the way that we're going to check this is to get game user settings. And we're going to get overall scalability level. And then this one is going to be low. So we want to check if quality low is not equal to this. So we'll do it like this. Okay, so that will be our return value there. And that should be good. And now we just need to do this for each button. So again, it's a little tedious, but that's just part of it. And this is why I'm only doing just this one, because you have to do this for every single button you create. So it gets a little tedious. Medium, we're going to create binding. Okay. And let's actually just copy this stuff. Okay, and we need to get quality medium. And then we're going to go high, create binding. Control V to paste. And this will be quality high. And last one, ultra. Create binding. Control V. And quality ultra. Okay. Now, let's see. We're already on apply settings. We're already applying those settings here, so that's good. We may actually be done. Let's test it out and see. Let's just go ahead and play here. So the nice thing about this is, okay, so that's good. So that is selected as high, which is correct. So you can see I have that selected as my scalability settings. And if we change this to low, let's just try to look at the background here. Okay, that was kind of hard to see. Oh, it went into full screen. Okay, you know what? Let me actually do a standalone game here. Okay, let's take a look now. So now it's set to ultra. Let's set it to low. We changed the resolution. Let's try that again. I think it did work though, because I don't see any shadows. So we change it to ultra. Oh yeah, there we go. Not a lot of difference there. Yeah, you can definitely see it changing though. So if we change it to low, you can see the shadows are completely gone. Medium brings back the shadows. High looks like it brings in a little bit more detail with like the volumetric fog and things like that. And ultra is pretty similar there. Okay, so I think that is good. We are almost there, guys. We still have a little bit to do though, because we need to have a pause screen. So now we're going into the game. This is good, but we don't have a way to bring that menu up in here. All right, so we need to do that now. All right, the first thing that I want to do is I want to get our actual player blueprints. So in my case, that's just the first-person player or first-person character here. And we need to add a way to press a key to open the menu. Usually that would be escape, but in this case, just to make it a little bit easier for us, I'm just going to use the Q key. And I'm not even going to create like a key bind for this. I'm just going to right-click and just type Q keyboard so that we get this. If you're doing this in an actual game, I would recommend to make an actual key bind for it, but this is fine just to kind of test things out here. So when I press Q, which is going to be our pause menu, I want to set game paused. Now you don't have to set your game pause. Some games don't pause when you go into the menu, but in this case, I will have it to be paused here. And then we want to get player controller, and we want to set input mode to UI only. Okay, and then we also want to set show a mouse cursor to true. And then we need to create a new widget, which let's go ahead and create that. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to, let me think. Yeah, I think we can just duplicate our main menu, and I'll call this pause menu. And we'll use that. So out of our player controller, create widgets, and that will be w_pause. Okay, and then we want to add that to viewports. Okay, and I don't know if we'll need this. I'm going to also promote this to a variable, just in case we need the variable to the pause menu. So that's going to be w_pause menu ref. And we'll just hook this up like this. And then we don't need that. Okay. So that should work. Okay, let's test that out really quick. Okay, so now if I press Q, that brings this up. So this is working, but we need a way to like go back, right? Because we don't want to just start and then just restart. So we need to change a couple of things. Let's open up the pause menu. And there's a few things that we can do to make this a little different. So first of all, we don't need start. So we can just delete that. Okay, and then also, let's see. Start, we can just delete that. Okay. And instead of having this be back, we could just have this be resume game. So I'm going to change this here to resume game. And then we also don't really want to hide this. So on pre-construct, we can just have this. Let's actually just delete this. Because the other thing is we can, we can just have like all of this show up when we pause the screen, or when we pause the menu, or when we pause the game. Wow, it's getting late, guys. I think that'll be fine. I mean, you can do it however you want, but if we hit start, then we can just have access to this right now. And then we still need to fix that resume game. So the way that we're going to do that, let's get the button for resume game and say on clicked. Oh, we already have that. Let's see. Yeah, we don't actually need that. We just want to drag out and just type remove from parent. This will get rid of the widget. And then we also need to unpause the game. So set game pause and leave that blank. And then we need to get our player controller and set input mode to game only. And then we also need to hide the mouse cursor again. So set show mouse cursor, leave that on false. And we should be good with that now. So let's test that out. Play, start. Okay, now when I press Q, now if I press resume game, there we go. So the game is paused. You can see we're in the middle of jumping, resume game. Okay, good. Yep, that looks like that's working. Okay. I guess we don't really need the options menu here. Let's see, quit works. Yeah, so we could just remove the options menu as well, or options button. And one thing that we could do, we could also add like a quit to main menu. So maybe we duplicate the quit here. And let's call this one quit to main menu. And then the text will say quit to main menu. Let's see. Oh yeah, we need to actually, so we don't have this button anymore. And let's see, quit, that's still good. So quit to main menu. We want to load a level here. Load level by object reference. That's not it, hold on. Sorry, open level by object reference. And we want to open the main menu. Okay, so let's try that. Start. Okay, so again, we're not going to have load game in there, but I just put that in there for future. Quit, let's try quit to main menu. Okay, that's good. Options. Apply settings, looks good. Let's just hit start, see if that works. Quit. I think we got it, guys. Okay. Now, there's a lot more that you can do with this, obviously. I would probably, this wouldn't actually be that hard. I'd probably add like a little bit of, let's go back to the designer here. Let's see. Let's maybe add a border to the canvas panel. And let's see, border, anchor that to the entire screen. Set it to be 0 everywhere. And then under the brush color, let's have this be like a really dark, or actually I'm going to make that all the way black and just bring this value, I don't know, somewhere around like there. And then I'm going to set the Z order here for this to be 1. And that'll just bring that in front of that. Okay. And that might look a little bit nicer now when we pause. It just kind of darkens the background. Okay, we could also add something like a blur. Let's just add it to the border. And then let's just change the blur strength maybe to like somewhere around there. Okay, then that just kind of blurs everything out. That looks kind of nice. So yeah, you get the idea. Like there's so much that you can do with this. it'd probably look nice if maybe you had like a border around here, maybe like a line separating this. There's just kind of so much that you can do. Possibilities are really endless, and there's a lot of things in here that you can look through to use, or you can also create, different elements in Photoshop and things like that. All right, guys. So I think I'm going to wrap up the video here. I know this was a lot. I get super overwhelmed with UI and confused a lot of times because it really is not very intuitive to me. Maybe it is for some people, but I always find it pretty confusing whenever I'm working with any kind of UI stuff. But I really wanted to tackle this and kind of at least give you guys something to start with. I feel like knowing the stuff that we've learned here, you can pretty much figure out how to create the other stuff if you wanted to go through and set the other scalability options. It's kind of the same process. It's just time consuming, really, and very tedious. But yeah, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video and for your continued support. I really appreciate it so much. If you want to support me further, you can check out the links below. So like I said, I will make this available on Patreon. This will be specifically under the HAL 401 tier, the one where you get the project files and everything like that. And I will just leave the horror basement environment in there. That's normally a $15 asset, so that'll just be included in there, and you can get access to this menu system as well. So it's a great way to support me, but I totally understand if you can't or if that's not something you want to do. No pressure on that at all. And yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will see you guys on the next video. All right, take care, guys.